What is up, everybody out there? Are you excited to get into part 2 of the Golden Age arc? Well, I am. I wanted to do all of Guts' childhood just as one video, just to get that as its own thing, because I think it's very contained in a way. So the story jumps ahead another 4 years, and if you're counting, that would make Guts about 15 right now. But this is in the Middle Ages, so I suppose that was probably the equivalent of like your mid-20s as far as like ability and responsibility goes nowadays. Also, this is manga, anime protagonists, they often start very young and they're super badass with ripped bodies. I mean, what the hell? Why couldn't I be that cool and ripped when I was 15? But whatever. We're taken to a scene where troops of some kind are invading a stronghold. One of the enemies they're up against is a huge motherfucker named Bazuzo. Everyone is afraid of him except for one boy who steps up to take him on. It is, of course, Guts. And after bartering for some gold, he takes Bazuzo out handily. Then we see a brief glimpse of Griffith watching overhead. Apparently they were fighting for the opposite side and decided to evacuate. Meanwhile, a man of some semblance of authority, I'm not exactly sure who or what he is, he asks Guts to stay with him, full time. He'll start paying him better and whatnot, but Guts declines. The man makes the mistake of touching Guts and then gets cussed out for it. Keep in mind, Guts probably hasn't allowed another person to lay a hand on him since Donovan. As Guts walks down a path alone, a group of mercenaries watches. Griffith is with them. One of the members, named Corcus, who just has a sleazy looking face to begin with, wants to attack him and take his reward money. Wow, nice guy, Corcus. He takes a few of the troops down with him and Guts just takes him out easily. Griffith then instructs someone named Casca to go and take care of it. She proves to be a little bit of a challenge, but Guts knocks her helmet off and sees that it's a woman. Now, Casca will become one of the most important and best developed characters in Berserk. One of her defining features, besides being the only woman in this mercenary band, is that she's also dark-skinned. While researching this, I can't find any direct source stating her ethnicity, but most seem to attribute it to being Middle Eastern or somewhere from around there, which would make sense as it's not far from Europe where the story takes place. But what I find really funny is that in her first couple of panels, Kentaro Miura does not color in her skin. She's just as pale as the rest of the characters. So I have to wonder, was this an error? Or did he not decide to make her dark skin until later? Both this chapter and the next kind of alternate back and forth with the coloring, so I'm really curious as to what point the decision was made to make Casca a woman of color. Anyway, before Guts can defeat Casca, Griffith himself steps up on his horse to defeat Guts with just one blow. Guts looks up to see this symbol of power and leadership defined by Griffith's elegant appearance. Note that Griffith has long white hair and all white armor, with a white horse to boot. This symbolism of a hero of purity is what he wishes to be perceived as, and is what everyone around him will see him as. He is a larger-than-life character, and he presents himself to be that way. The kind you write about in mythology, or something around that. Also, the complete antithesis of Guts. Guts is decked out in dark colors, easily irritable, full of rage, reckless in battle. Griffith is white, calm, soft-spoken, calculating, and deeply intelligent. So Guts wakes up in the camp of these mercenaries and is greeted by a punch from Casca, in which I think is probably the worst drawing in all of Berserk. Look, Kentaro Miura is an amazing artist. Fantastic. Some of the best imagery I've ever seen is in this series. But what's with this picture? I mean, look at Casca here. What is this? Guts is introduced to a man named Judo, a smaller stature guy with some knives and some longish hair. Judo will turn out to be a pretty great character. And he mentions that Griffith has instructed Casca to lie next to Guts to keep him warm while he recovered. And he really fits the role of the exposition guy. The guy that knows all the info, all the stories, all the legends, and can share it. Which is fine. Yeah, I feel like you need a character like that in a lot of stories, especially ones like this that bring you into a whole new world and you're trying to understand how things work and how things are set up. You kind of need a character that knows the lay of the land, that can explain it to someone else, and thus explain it to the audience. So Griffith appears and introduces the group as the Band of the Hawk, apparently having a reputation for being a highly skilled and revered band. Even Guts has heard of them before. Now, when it comes to the translation of Band of the Hawk, there's a few things to note. Apparently, the Japanese translation for hawk and falcon are the same. And originally, it was meant to be Band of the Falcon, supposedly as a nod to the Millennium Falcon of Star Wars, for which Miura was a fan of. But the translation went to hawk instead when the English version was translating it. I mean, it really doesn't make a difference to the story itself, but sometimes you may hear people refer to them as the Band of the Falcon as opposed to the Band of the Hawk. But we're going to go with Hawk because that's how it was translated, that's how I remember it, and that's how I think of it. So Griffith states that he wants Guts to join them, which Guts promptly refuses, and then asks if Griffith is a homo, which is pretty funny, and honestly it's kind of a legitimate question. Guts challenges him to a fight, stating that if he loses, he'll be Griffith's soldier or his fag boy. Love it, Guts. No subtlety. Clearly confident in his abilities. The fight ensues as everyone gathers to watch, Griffith mostly dominating until Guts grabs his sword with his teeth, knocks him over, and starts punching him. Now, I'm no sword fighting expert, but I'd have to think that biting a sword with your teeth would probably be the last time that you could eat solid food for a while. But anyways, it tends to work, so he gets Griffith down and starts punching him, but Griffith soon gets the upper hand again and then dislocates Guts' shoulder. As the Band of the Hawk gathers around, Griffith looks deep into Guts' eyes and states that he now belongs to him. So Corcus, the same Band of the Hawk member that decided to try to rob Guts in the first place, now plots to kill him in his sleep. Casca puts a stop to it fairly quickly, under the Griffith's orders, but she bears no affection to Guts whatsoever. Guts is once again alone, in a tent, clutching his sword as his only security. One has to wonder how many nights that he slept like this. A night later, the Hawk members are on a mission for somebody, and Griffith gives Guts an important role in his attack strategy. We see here and now, all of the members respect and never seem to question Griffith's instructions. And two, that his attack strategies are well thought out and seemingly too crazy to work. But they do. Guts is back fighting against a bunch of troops, seemingly on his own, but then Griffith arrives with reinforcements helping him out and leading the enemies right back to cannon fire. Here Guts sees how the Band of the Hawk works as a group, how Griffith's plans are set into motion, and how it relies heavily on the teamwork of everyone involved. More than teamwork, it's like a family working together. The band celebrates their takeover of the stronghold while Guts distances himself. 3 members, Juno, Ricker, and Pippin, come to see him. Ricker is the youngest member of the group, all wide-eyed and full of energy. Pippin is a huge, obviously strong man who says very little. He's probably my favorite out of these Band of the Hawk characters. And Judo, who we met before, is a charismatic exposition giver. Some sources have stated that the Hawk members were molded after Miura's friends, but they want Guts to come down and join them in their celebration, and Pippin just picks him up and takes him down. A very awkward moment given Guts' hatred of being touched. But once plopped down with everyone else and handed a drink, they all talk about how great they thought Guts was during the fight and how much they liked having him with them. Something Guts has literally never experienced in his life. After another chat with Judo the next morning, he states to Guts, "I'm sure you'll find it here, the place where you belong." Guts goes downstairs to see Griffith naked, splashing water over his head to sober up. Griffith tosses water all over Guts, irritating him, and then the two of them have a playful little fight. Now, let's talk about something, not quite controversial, but something that needs to be explored. And that is, could it be possible that Griffith has romantic feelings for Guts? I don't want to jump too far ahead, but as we will see, Griffith's sexuality is a questionable one. In fact, he may not be a sexual being at all. Sex is just another component to him achieving his dreams and ambitions. But sex aside, could he still feel romantic feelings? Perhaps he saw something he admired in Guts, more so than just his fighting abilities. Now, I'm not saying I subscribe to this theory. After all, plenty of evidence that will come up point to Griffith not only viewing Guts as a tool to win his own ambitions, but also it's going to become clear that Guts is special to Griffith more so than any other Hawk member. Perhaps even Griffith himself wouldn't be able to tell you his true feelings on the subject. I just bring it up here because this is perhaps the most playfully erotic that they get with one another, and it's worth mentioning. Anyway, shortly after the playful banter, Guts notices the necklace Griffith is wearing, and on it is a balet. Now, we as the reader know exactly what this is at this point in the story, but the characters do not. This puts us, from now on, if we weren't already, into a near constant state of anxiety. Because we know what it does, and we know what Griffith will become. But when? And how? It presents a looming sense of dread over the entire story arc that cannot be ignored. Griffith only mentions that he got it from a fortune teller once, and that it's called the Egg of the King. See, this Bailet, I guess, is supposed to be crimson, a bright red Bailet, and the others are not this color. So this one is a specific kind called the Egg of the King. He then states his goal in all of this, that he will someday get his own kingdom, and as his soldier, he will decide when and where Guts will die. Guts ponders how Griffith, who is not royalty or military, could possibly say with such conviction that he will have his own kingdom. Something that stirs up memories 4 years ago when Guts was staring at the moon, wondering where he was going. What is his purpose? He has no idea, but Griffith's is so clearly defined. And that's where we're going to end this one, guys. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Let me know if you like these Berserk manga analysis. I'm going to be happy to do a lot more. There will be more coming in the future. So thanks a lot for this. Give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next one.